I was brutally unalived after hunting down over 10 cartel members for the murder of my daughter. My name is Miriam Rodriguez. On January 23, 2012, in the city of San Fernando in Tamaulipas, my daughter was driving her truck when suddenly, 2 trucks blocked her in. 2 armed men then came out and forced their way into my daughter's truck and dragged her into theirs. Shortly after, a family friend ended up witnessing the scene and was abducted as well. My family began receiving threats and ransom demands. They then demanded thousands of dollars in ransom payments in exchange for her. Feeling scared for my daughter's life, I had no choice but to take out a loan from the bank. Ransoms were so common in the city that the bank was giving out ransom loans. I was then told to drop off the ransom at a local medical facility. I waited and nobody showed up. Starting to feel even more nervous, I demanded to meet with one of the captors and they agreed. I eventually met up with one of them at a local restaurant. Instead of giving me my daughter, he demanded even more money without telling me where she was. I was then asked for an extra $2,500. I would have given everything I had to have my daughter back with me, so I paid the extra money. After a while of waiting, I realized my daughter wouldn't be returning. I opened up a police report, but nothing was done. They didn't even attempt to look for my daughter because of their corruption and involvement with the cartel. I vowed to find every single one of my daughter's kidnappers. The family friend who was also kidnapped was let go shortly after because he offered no value to them. I then pressed him for the physical appearance of the captors, and he eventually gave in. It confirmed the man I had met up with at the restaurant, whose name was Sama, was involved in my capture of my daughter. I spent hours and hours looking for any clues. I eventually came across a picture of Sama with a girl at an ice cream shop. I spent the next few days stalking the ice cream shop. I had recognized the woman in the picture with Sama, so I studied her work hours and waited patiently for Sama to show up. He eventually did, and I waited to follow the couple home and get their address. I needed to get closer to them, so I went undercover. I cut and dyed my hair red and put on an old government uniform, and I went door to door in Sama's neighborhood conducting fake surveys. Doing even more research, I was able to locate a picture of Sama's crew. On September 15, 2014, my son was closing his shop when he noticed a familiar face. It was Sama. He immediately called me, and Sama was then arrested, and he quickly gave the names of my daughter's captors. That's when I found out my daughter was murdered and buried in an abandoned ranch. Feeling overwhelmed with emotions, I knew I had to take justice into my own hands, so I kept searching for my daughter's captors. I managed to track another member named Flores back to his hometown, and found out he attended church. I began stalking him for more information, and then I contacted the authorities and had him arrested. I wasn't done yet, though. I located another man who was a vendor near the Mexican-United States border. He immediately recognized me and ran away. I got a hold of him and pinned him to the ground until the police arrived. Cartels then found out what I was doing, and I began to be threatened. On May 17, 2017, I was leaving my home when I was riddled with bullets. I passed away instantly. Some of the captors managed to escape from prison and took my life shortly after. I took on an entire cartel by myself for my daughter. Now you know that.